Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 story is over. The final DLC entitled Mysteria, Ecclesiae, or Mysteries of the Church was released, and with that, Book 2 of Henry's story comes to an end. We don't know if we'll ever get a direct sequel, and even if we do get a Kingdom Come Deliverance 3, it might not be a continuation of Henry's story. So his adventure trying to discover the cause of a mysterious illness at a monastery might be the last piece of story we ever get. So, does the DLC send Henry off into the sunset triumphantly, or is it another somewhat boring DLC? It's well known that Brushes with Death and The Legacy of the Forge left fans wanting more. They certainly got it with this final DLC, as it takes anywhere from 10 to 12 hours to complete, depending on your playstyle. But is it any good? Personally, I think so. I mean, I'm a huge sucker for these games and their stories, but I personally think it was well worth the time that I put in. Granted, I have the season pass, so I got it through that rather than spending $14 on it. The story sees Henry accompanying Albic, the personal physician of King Wenceslaus, to the Sedgwick Monastery to act as a kind of personal bodyguard appointed by Peter of Pissick. The reason for this visit is that Albic wants to get to the king, who's being held captive in Vienna. In order to do that, he needs the abbot of the monastery to mediate the situation. Peter's nervous that the entire situation could go sideways, so he asks Henry to come along and keep him safe. Quickly, you discover that the inhabitants of the monastery have been afflicted with a mysterious illness. Henry must help Albic discover what's causing it and treat the sick. In that way, it's very much like the other mysteries sprinkled in throughout the story, as Henry has to put on his detective helm and race against time. Now, I'm going to spoil the DLC, so if you haven't played it yet, please click off this video and come back when you've completed it. Along the way, you uncover a conspiracy surrounding a famous knight who traveled to the Holy Land and eventually was buried at the monastery with a piece of the cross that Jesus Christ was killed on. The outbreak occurred because workers who were renovating the monastery chapel were employed by Albic's former friend and underling Zachariah. Zachariah felt like he was often looked over by others in favor of Albic and wants the piece of the cross in order to curry favor with the king, and then he poisons Albic and leverages that to get his hands on the medical records of King Wenceslaus to see if he can use them to cure King Sigismund of his infertility, as both kings suffer from it. Henry has to try to find the records, which were hidden by Albic. Once you do, you can try to forge them to pass off the fakes to Zacharias. If you do and succeed, or you just give the actual records, then you get the antidote and Albic recovers and helps cure the sick. But if you don't, then he loses his eyesight and the sick die. So 2 pretty different ways for the DLC to end. Unfortunately for me, my forged documents weren't quite good enough, and Zachariah saw right through them, resulting in him throwing the antidote to the ground, and then he and Henry faced off in a duel in the rain. It was pretty epic, very cool way to end the DLC. Obviously, Henry kills him, but that doesn't help the sick. It's a sad ending, but I really enjoy that the game allows you to basically fail there. Really helps the experience feel like there's real weight to your actions. Overall, I thought that the mystery was interesting and fun to unravel. The monastery map itself is quite beautiful, and Zacharias is a compelling villain. I will admit that sneaking around is my least favorite part, but you do get to fight some people. At first, you don't have a weapon, so when you face off with 3 of Zacharias' men, it's just a straight up brawl, but eventually, you get a pretty awesome sword, and the fights become fun again. Easily the worst part of the DLC was actually a glitch. Apparently, if you played it before they dropped a patch, all of the items that you had on your wall of your forge disappeared. I didn't know that when I started it, so I lost a bunch of good swords, including Radzig's sword, which is extra sad, having just played the first game for the first time, and it being such a motivating factor for Henry's journey. Other than that glitch, I have to say that the DLC is a lot of fun, and well worth your time. I'm sad that this might be the end of my adventure with Henry, though there's always hardcore mode or just generally playing through the story again, which I'm sure I'll do eventually. All told, I've spent about 160 hours playing this game, which outside of sports games or like Call of Duty is the most that I've ever put into a video game. Kingdom Come Deliverance has changed the way that I look at games in general and opened up the door to lengthy RPGs. So what do you think about the final DLC? Let me know in the comments. And do you believe that this is Henry's last adventure, as Warhorse has kind of implied? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well. Also, what game should I play next? Like I said, I've been playing the first Kingdom Come Deliverance. I'm almost done with those DLCs, and I'll have a full video out about them soon, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on what I should tackle next. I'm thinking, I don't know, Cyberpunk, Red Dead Redemption 2, something along those lines. But again, love to hear from you in the comments. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. We have new videos coming out every single week. We also have a bunch of spin-off channels, including Those Fake Nerds, where we cover nerd and pop culture news, Wicked Good Sports, where we cover sports news, Better Radio, which is our podcasting channel, and Wicked Scary, where we cover urban legends and cryptids. Again, thank you so much for checking this one out, and we will see you in the next one.